People keep disappearing after visiting this church in the United States. People keep disappearing after visiting this church in the United States. This church has no website, no phone number, no official records. And yet, people keep going inside. Some of them never come back. This story is real, and what you're about to hear was never officially explained. The town is small, the kind of place most Americans drive through without noticing. One main road cuts straight through it. There's a gas station, a diner that closes before 8 p.m., and long stretches of land where nothing seems to happen. At the edge of town stands a white building. It looks like a church. It feels like a church. But according to every public record available, it doesn't exist. Locals never advertise it. It doesn't appear on Google Maps. There are no signs pointing toward it. And yet, if you ask the right person at the diner quietly, they'll pause before answering. Though that place, some will tell you it's been there longer than anyone remembers. Others will say it's abandoned. A few will insist it's active, but only on certain nights. No one agrees on when it's open. What most people don't know is that someone finally tried to stay long enough to understand what was happening inside that church, and they never intended to leave. After the travel blogger vanished in 2021, a former investigative journalist became obsessed with the case. He had covered disappearances for years, but this one bothered him more than any other. There were no bodies, no crime scenes, no official suspects, just people who entered a building and were erased. He began quietly interviewing former residents of the town. Most refused to talk. Some pretended they didn't remember anything. A few became visibly uncomfortable the moment the church was mentioned. One woman, now living several states away, finally agreed to speak off the record. She told him something chilling. The people who disappear, she said, aren't taken. They're chosen. According to her, the church never targeted random victims. It waited for people who were already isolated, travelers, runaways, people between lives, people who felt lost, people who wanted answers. She explained that the pastor had an unsettling ability to recognize vulnerability. He didn't preach hope. He didn't offer salvation. He offered understanding. The journalist asked what happened inside the back room. The woman went silent. Then she said, "You don't confess sins there, you confess thoughts." She claimed that those invited into the room were asked questions no stranger should know to ask. Questions about guilt, regret, fear of being forgotten. And when someone answered honestly, they were told they could stay forever. The journalist decided to visit the town himself. He arrived just before dusk. The diner was nearly empty. When he asked about the church, the waitress froze. Her hands trembled slightly as she poured his coffee. "You don't go there," she said quietly. When he asked why, she leaned closer and whispered, "Because it remembers you." That night, the journalist parked near the edge of town, close enough to see the white building. At exactly 11:47 p.m., lights turned on inside. No cars arrived, no doors opened. Just light appearing. He crossed the street. The door was unlocked. Inside, the air felt heavy, like breathing through cloth. Candles lined the walls, already lit. The benches were occupied, but not full. No one spoke. At the front stood a man in plain clothing. No robe, no symbols. Just a calm presence that made the journalist's chest tighten. The man looked directly at him. "You came alone," the pastor said. It wasn't a question. The journalist later wrote that the pastor already knew his name. He knew why he was there. The service lasted less than 10 minutes. No prayers, no songs. Just silence, broken occasionally by the sound of breathing. Then the pastor gestured toward the back room. "Not everyone is ready," he said. "But you are." The journalist stood up. This is where the account becomes fragmented. According to notes later recovered from his hotel room, time inside the back room didn't behave normally. Minutes stretched. Thoughts felt louder than words. He wrote that the pastor never touched him, never threatened him. Instead, he showed him things. Memories the journalist had buried, moments of shame, the fear that his life would end without meaning. Then came the offer. "You can leave," the pastor said. "But if you do, this will follow you." The journalist asked what this meant. The pastor smiled. "Knowing," he replied. The notes end abruptly. Security footage from a nearby highway camera shows the journalist leaving the church alone at 3:02 a.m. He drove out of town without stopping. He never returned home. Weeks later, police found his car abandoned in another state. Inside the trunk was a single notebook page. One sentence was written over and over again. "I was seen." After that incident, the church changed. Locals reported that the lights no longer turned on as often. Fewer strangers stopped in town. The building appeared darker, quieter, almost dormant until recently. In late 2024, several drivers reported GPS malfunctions near the same stretch of road. Navigation systems rerouted them off the highway, directing them toward a location that didn't exist. A white building. The reports were dismissed as technical errors, but one detail stood out. Every driver described the same thing. As they passed the building, their phones lost signal, and their screens went black. The church still isn't on any map, still has no official records, and no authority has ever confirmed its purpose. But those who have encountered it say the same thing. It doesn't chase people. It doesn't trap them. It simply waits until someone is ready to be seen. And if you ever find yourself driving through a quiet town late at night and you see a white building with the lights already on, don't stop. Because once the church recognizes you, it never forgets. By the time authorities realized something was wrong, it was already too late. In early 2025, a federal task force quietly reviewed a collection of unresolved missing person cases across multiple states. The connection between them was thin and almost invisible. Different ages, different backgrounds, different reasons for traveling, but one detail kept appearing in reports that were never meant to be connected. Each person's last known location placed them within driving distance of the same rural highway. And each case ended the same way. No evidence of violence, no suspects, no bodies, just silence. One analyst noticed something strange. Several of the missing had searched the same phrase online days before vanishing. "Church near me open at night." That search led nowhere officially. But off the record, retired officers began sharing stories they had never written down. Stories about a building that couldn't be shut down because it technically wasn't there. A building that never resisted investigation, but never revealed anything either. In March, an unmarked team was sent to the town. They arrived just before midnight. The diner was closed. The streets were empty. The white building stood at the edge of town exactly as described. Lights on, doors unlocked. The team entered together. Inside, nothing had changed. Candles. Benches, silence. No people. No signs of recent activity. They searched every room, including the back room mentioned in earlier reports. It was empty, no furniture. No markings, no hidden doors. Just bare walls. One agent noted something unsettling in his report. The room felt unfinished, as if it was waiting for something to happen. The team left after 2 hours, officially concluding that the building posed no threat. But one agent didn't sleep that night. At 3:17 a.m., he woke up with the overwhelming sensation that he was being watched. Not followed, not hunted. Observed days later, he resigned. Within a month, 3 members of the task force requested reassignment. None of them would explain why. Then something changed. People started coming back. In April, a man was found wandering along the highway just outside the town. He was dehydrated, disoriented, and unable to explain where he had been. When questioned, he said he had attended a church service. Doctors found no injuries, no signs of drugs, no trauma. But something was wrong. He didn't recognize his own name. When shown photos of his family, he stared at them like strangers. The only thing he could say clearly was one sentence. "They said I wasn't ready." Over the next few weeks, 2 more people were found. Alive, confused, empty. All 3 described the same thing. They entered the church willingly. They listened, they were seen, and then they were sent away. Psychologists reviewing the cases reached no conclusion. Brain scans showed no damage. Memory loss couldn't be medically explained. One specialist wrote a note that was never published. "It's not that something was taken from them," she wrote. "It's that something stayed behind." Shortly after, the town began to change. Residents reported vivid dreams. Strangers felt familiar. Silence lingered longer than it should. People avoided the white building, not out of fear but out of instinct. Like prey avoiding a place where something once fed. In late summer, a teenager broke into the church as a dare. He came back screaming. He claimed the benches were filled, not with people but with impressions. Indentations where people should have been sitting, as if something invisible was occupying the space. The lights turned off the following night. They have not turned on since. The building now appears abandoned in every sense of the word. No lights, no open doors, no presence. Officials quietly marked the cases as closed. But locals know better. They say the church doesn't disappear, it moves. It doesn't need a building anymore. Because once enough people have been seen, it learns. And occasionally someone will still report the same strange experience. A GPS rerouting them off the road. A sudden urge to stop driving. A sense that somewhere nearby they are expected.